session of Android, or let me say mobile app development course. So in this course, we are trying to transition from using our favorite IDE into JIDEA, and we are going to Android Studio. So we are transitioning from learning the basics of how to maneuver around with Kotlin, which is the backbone of our applications. Now we want to go and to a new IDE where we have all the tools and the materials to develop our application. So today I just want to show you something before we begin, a roadmap of how an application is built. So if you can see on the screen, we do have a picture of how a block diagram of a mobile application looks like. So you can see, first of all, we do have our app. So the application is the one that we are trying to build. Now we want to see what makes that application tick. Then, if you can see around here, I've the pictures. Now you can see that on the left side, we do have an XML file. An XML file. So an XML file is a file that we use to provide the interface of our Android application. You can see it as CSS file when building web applications. So in this case, our application does have an XML file that actually is used to build the interface of our application. And below that XML file, we do have views. So we have image view. We do have an image view and text view. We do have button view, and we do have a button, and we do have video views. So these video views, they're like containers that you actually see in your application. And in this case, if you can take a look at this, you can see that we do have text view, the text that you are seeing, and a button view here. If we could see a video, that would be a video view. Now, let's take a look at the right side of our application. You can actually appreciate that in this case, we do have the Kotlin file, or the Kotlin code. So this Kotlin code is the one that is used to give the functionalities of our application. Or let me say, if it says you click something else on your application, what happens? So you determine it by this Kotlin code. For example, if you are building maybe a calculator, we have learned in Kotlin that for example, a calculator, not a calculator, but we have learned in Kotlin that we do have arithmetic operations. So these arithmetic operations are the ones that you can actually put in maybe in your calculator app. So you maybe 1 + 1, or if you click a button, that means you trigger 1 + 1, and so forth. So this is a backbone of our Kotlin application. Now, let's go and visualize the next phase. So the next phase is about, we'll go to Android Studio and to see how we can actually to maneuver Android Studio. So if you open your Android Studio for the first time, maybe you have installed it in your machine. So for the first time, you are not going to be greeted by this interface. So you are going to be greeted by an interface that says create new projects, open projects, and whatnot. But if you have ever created a project, this is the screen that you'll be greeted in your case. So let's take a look on how you can create a new project. So if you are greeted on that screen, just click on create new project like this, and choose the templates are like phones or tablets. So these are Android phones and whatnot. Wear OS, so Wear OS, they can be watches and what. So we do have also Android TV and automotive. If you are making things for maybe cars and whatnot. In our case, we want mobile apps, so it means we go to mobile applications. Then you choose the templates that you have here. So you're going to see that we have basic activity with Material 3. So Material 3 is a Material UI, which is introduced by Google right now. It's trending. You can actually check it out. But that one is very complex for someone who is beginning this course. We can actually view it later on. We do have a compose activity. So if you are using a library called Jet Compose, which has got composables, you can actually utilize this feature. We do have other Google Map activity, Google Pay. So these are just templates, as you can see. And we are interested in going to the empty activity. We want to start from scratch. If we click empty activity and click next, we are taken to a new window. So this new window, actually, you can name your project. So name your project, and once you name your project, it will be updated here. So you can see that we do have home example.my application. In this case, you need to put the URL of your website. If you are a company, the URL of your website right here, then your application. This brings eligibility of your application. Then you choose the folder on your PC where you want your project files to be in, and you can choose the language. In this case, we are choosing Kotlin because it's easy to maneuver rather than Java. Then the interesting thing that you need to choose is the minimum SDK. So this is like an API way that you want your application to run in. So the API, it's like the operating system of the Android phones that you want your application to open, to run in. You can see if I choose here Android 10, so all the phones that are starting from Android 10 above, they're going to run this application. Those below, they're not going to run this application. And you can see that right now, approximately 62.8% of the devices with the minimum of Android 10 are available online. So I do have my market. Or if you are creating maybe nationwide application, make sure you choose the minimum operating system. If I choose 4.4, you're going to see that I am covering 99% of population that are using Android application. But however, if you go here this far, your application will not have extra features that are available on the market. So you don't have maybe material themes that are available there. So you don't work around with newest features. But however, make sure that you do your research and see how many people are using Android version at this farm. So I have chosen my Android 10, and you can see that I'm covering 62.8% of the coverage of the world. And once I'm done, I'll click finish and I'll open up my project. But however, Android Studio, when you open a new project, it will require you to actually install some other features, some other materials to be used in your project. So in this case, I'll not create a new project. I'll just utilize my available project. So once I've clicked that project that I've already opened, it means I do have the materials installed already. This is how my screen looks like. Your screen may not look like the way my screen is looking like. The reason behind is I'm using material theme, so that's why my interface is it has got different color setting, but however it's the same thing that you can see in different sections. So we want to see we want to see how what options that the interface actually gives us. And at the top bar here, you can see that we do have subsections. So in these subsections, it's actually similar to IntelliJ IDEA. But however, it has got some new features, but it's not that intimidating. If you see this interface, it's not that intimidating. And if we go to file, basically you play around with the files that you are working with. You can save them, close the project and whatnot, or check the settings of your IDE. If we go to edit is like just editing the files, so you can copy, paste them, or you can select them. On view, it's about the appearance of the IDE. You can change how things are arranged and whatnot. On navigate, maybe you want to search a file or files somewhere else, use the navigate window. On the code now, you want to debug or inspect the code to check the code that you are working with. You are working in the files, the size of the code. That's what you find in this tab. On the refactor now, you want to change some other things, change names and or delete some other things. You actually go to refactor section. So it's about like fixing some other areas or changing the name. On a build, this is actually important when you are building your APKs or applications. You actually have to go to this project. So in this case, that's where you actually build your APKs. On learn, as the name suggests, that's where you are going to learn your applications, or you can learn it in a debug mode or check how your application is taking toll of the RAM or the processor of your application. So tools are just like things that you can use added advantage of. You can take added advantage of. So we do have tools like the SDK manager or device manager that you use to install the application that you are working in. So I do have here version control. So on version control, that's where you can have access to maybe GitHub or to GitLab. These version controls, they actually help you to store your code online so that you can actually work in a group setting and whatnot. But if you are working alone, it's not that 50% necessary, but maybe you want to keep your code for reference when you are applying for jobs. We do have a window bar here. So in this window section, that's where you can actually explore different windows that we do have here. On my screen, I do have lots of windows that have appeared to me. In this case, that's the tab that you are going to explore about. On the help section, that's where you find help of the problems that you are meeting or how you can use something else. And these tabs that I are seeing here, they are not that intimidating, and we'll take a look more and explore more as we are going forward, because I think I'll have a good explanation when these tabs have been at use. But there's something that I want to show you here. There is a project tab here that I want you to explore and also to keep in mind. On this project tab, you can see that it's where you explore. It's where you are going to put your files in. So if I open this section here if I open this project here, you can see there are two files that have appeared. We do have the main activity .kt and activity main.xml. So XML is the file that you're going to use to actually design interface. On the main activity, if I click main activity, it's where you're going to find the Kotlin file. So in this case, this is where you're going to put the code or the functionalities of your code. This is the Kotlin file that you'll be working around. Now, on the right side on the project tab, you can see that if I want to find my files or where I can put my Kotlin files or my XML files, you are going to go on the Android section here. I will talk about that later on, and click the drop down arrow on the manifest. On this manifest is where you have details of your application, the name of your application, and what on anything that is secretive to you on that application. So you go on the drop down app, you click the Java section. This we are using Kotlin, but remember that this application Android Studio is actually dominated by Java. However, we are using Kotlin, so just keep that in mind. Click the arrow on Java, and we do have 3 files. Never mind these 2 files, Android test or test. Click the com.example.idealab. You can see that you have the main activity.at. So this is a Kotlin file. If you're saying where can I find the activity-main.xml file, go to lays, and in this lays, that's where you are going to see that you do have some other files here that you are seeing. So these are very important. We'll take a look at them later on. If we go on drawables, these are like launchers that actually appear. That's if you click maybe a button, something which comes that is a drawable. That's why we are seeing here IC launcher background. We'll see that later on. We do have layout. So on this layout, we talk about that. We'll see the layouts of our application later on. But this is where we find them activated main XML. This is we'll put different activities of our application. The minimap, we'll see that later on. The values, on values, we can actually see their colors and strings that are on our application. Themes as well. If you are working on different themes of your application, that's where you are going to put these files in. It's not that hard. With a little bit of practice, you can actually get hold of this interface. Now, on this project tab, you can see that we do have a drop-down arrow here. We see that Android section, and you can change this to project section, depending on your preference. But on the project section, you can see that it's very difficult to find these files. I need to go down of the IdeaLab folder, application folder, the source folder, the main folder, the Java folder, and .com folder. You can see that it's very difficult to find these files, but it's good if you want to maneuver different files inside your project. So this is how your File Explorer will see this project. But otherwise, let's go back to Android, and in this case, we are finding it easy to explore this project. Now, let's go to activity.main. So in this activity.main, Android Studio is very easy for beginners to develop the interfaces. Why? Because the interface is just drag and drop. So let us take a look at an example of layouts that we do have. We do have mainly the layouts. If we go here, let me close this window. If we go on the palette here and check the layouts, you can see that we do have constraint layouts, linear layout, and here iterative layout. To change the layout, I need to go out from this design view. If you can see right here, design view, I need to go to code view. So in this case, if you go to code view, that's where you are going to see that you have the code generated for you by Android Studio. So on this code view, I will write constraints layout. On this constraint layout, that's in this case, that's how I'll actually see, I'll actually use constraints layout in my window. If I go to design here, you can see that I do have constraints layout changed right here. So what is constraint layout? So constraint layout actually, it's a layout of materials that actually lets you to put all the things that you want anywhere. If we say I'm placing a button here, right here, if I click here a button, and there are various buttons that are available here. If I'm placing, maybe I'm just dragging and drop a button here, you can see that I can put this button anywhere I want. And maybe I want to put a floating button here, right here, and I can choose any background of that floating button. I want maybe this guy around, and you can see that this button is actually, you don't need to put that picture there. You can put a SVG right? But you can see I can put this button anywhere I want. But there are other layouts that are available as well. And if we go here on the code section and we want to, let's for example delete this, and okay, let's delete this right here. So if we delete that and change the layout right here to linear layout, this is our second layout, linear layout. The good part is Android Studio is very intelligent in giving you suggestions. So without even saving, I can go here and you can take that we do have linear layout, horizontal. So what does it mean? If I put a button here, you can see that now it has changed. If I drop it down, it's taking the whole cover of my section here. If I put another button here, and you can see that it's updating and whatnot. I can put another button as well, and you can see that I'm just increasing the number of buttons in a horizontal view. But however, maybe I don't want this horizontal layout, linear layout, but which is horizontal. I can change it by clicking here, go to layout and convert it to vertical. In this case, you can see that my buttons have changed. What about this side, which is here? It's just a blueprint to show my margins of my buttons that are here. So you can see that this is how you can actually create the buttons that you are trying to work on, and you can actually increase the size to cover the whole section here. So it's just a matter of clicking, dragging and dropping. How easy Android Studio is. And last layout is called relative layout, which is the one that we will use most of the time. So let me just delete here, and if I delete here, let me just delete the layout here. If I go to code and light relative layout, what does it mean when we say relative layout? In this case, relative layout is very important because it makes sure that your buttons or your objects or your views, they change according to the screen of the device that you're working with. So it's very important to use relative layout every time when you are designing your interface, your mobile app interface. So in this case, if I place a button right here, you can see it's just going above the point. And if I also place the button, another button, you can see it's just going right there. There are two buttons right here. And if I go to attributes, which is a tab right here, I can click button and I can actually set, if you use the search button here, alignment. I can just say align. This button here, I can align it anywhere I want. So if I say align parent, so the parent is the screen which is behind. So if I say align the parent bottom here by just clicking the acceptance button, you can see that it has changed. It has gone below here. And I can click this other button and say align the parent maybe at light. Let me just say light. Has changed, has gone to the light section of my button here. And we'll be changing constraints of our layout right here, horizontal view and whatnot in this case as we go along. But however, I want to show you something with this alignment. If I go here on my size of the device, I can click here and go to phones and tablets and change the layout, maybe pixel. You can see that it's updating itself. If I go maybe to tablet here, you can see that it's aligning, it's staying at the same position despite the screen's resolution, which is very, very much important in these layouts. So anyway, this is what I had for you in this section. Next time we are going to build these layouts and start going into our last section of this course, where we are building now an application that will use in that will actually see and kickstart our journey in Android development. So anyway, thank you very much for paying attention in this course. I will see you in the next section.